Hey everyone, and welcome back. Ready for another deep dive?
Definitely.
Awesome. So today we're tackling something that I think is super relevant for, well, a lot of us really, how medications can, interact, especially for women on the spectrum.
Yeah.
I was actually reading this blog post, it's on Cheap ABA, and it really got me thinking about how many different medications were often prescribed, like anxiety meds, antidepressants, ADHD meds if you need them, sleep aids. It's a lot.
Yeah, you're right. The list can get pretty long, and that's where things can get tricky.
Yeah.
When you're dealing with multiple medications, the chance of them interacting with each other, it's a big deal.
Totally. And you know what's even crazier? The blog post mentioned that it's not just about the pills interacting with each other.
Right.
It's like food and our environment can actually play a role too.
Oh, absolutely. It's
Right.
like this huge web of factors, all influencing how our bodies react to these substances. And this is especially true for autistic women, who we know often have those heightened sensory sensitivities.
Exactly. The Cheap ABA blog had some really interesting examples that kind of freaked me out a little, to be honest. Like, they were saying how certain foods, if you mix them with antidepressants or anxiety meds, could actually make your anxiety worse.
Oh, for sure. It's almost like you're trying to put out a fire, but you keep adding more fuel to it.
Ugh. Yeah, not a good feeling.
Right. Some antidepressants, for instance, they work by upping the serotonin levels in your brain. But then you've got certain foods, think like aged cheese or cured meats. Those have tyramine, which, guess what? It also increases serotonin. So if you combine those, suddenly your serotonin spikes way up, and that can lead to anxiety, headaches, even a condition called serotonin syndrome, which can be really dangerous.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's a really good point. It really is a delicate balance, isn't it?
It is. And it's not just about food either. Some supplements, if you take them alongside ADHD meds, well, those can backfire too.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, you see, some supplements have stimulants in them, and those stimulants can really mess with your heart rate and blood pressure, which are already potential side effects of those ADHD meds. So what happens? You could end up with even more anxiety, your heart's racing, you can't sleep. It just makes things so much harder.
So it's not about ditching meds or supplements altogether.
No, not at all.
It's about being aware of those interactions and finding ways to manage them, right?
Exactly. That's the key. Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to our health.
I'm so glad you brought that up because the blog actually had some strategies for dealing with this, and I think they're worth talking about. What do you think?
Let's do it.
Okay, so the first one they mentioned was keeping a medication journal. Sounds pretty simple, but I bet it could be really helpful.
Oh, it's huge. It's like becoming a detective for your own health.
Ooh, I like that.
By writing down your meds, the dosages, when you take them, and any weird side effects, you're going to start seeing patterns. You might notice, hey, every time I eat this with that med, I get a headache, or, whoa, my anxiety goes through the roof after I take this supplement.
So it's about connecting those dots.
Exactly. And then you can bring all that info to your doctor, and you two can work together to adjust your treatment plan.
I love that. It makes me feel more in control, like I'm not just blindly taking what's prescribed. I'm actively involved.
That's the goal. It's a partnership, remember. Your doctor has the medical knowledge, but you're the expert on you.
That's so true. Okay, medication journaling, check. What's the next strategy?
Well, this goes hand in hand with the journaling, talking to your doctor, like really talking.
Oh, yeah, not just like a quick in and out appointment.
Exactly. Don't hold back on anything. Tell them about any worries you have, strange side effects you've noticed, even questions that pop up when you're doing your research.
Being your own advocate.
Yes. And again, it's a team effort. You both work together to create a plan that's tailored just for you.
And that plan might involve switching meds, maybe adjusting the dosage, trying alternative things, even making lifestyle changes.
Totally. It's about looking at the big picture and realizing our health isn't just about popping pills.
Wow, this is already so helpful. I feel like we're really starting to unpack this whole medication interaction thing, and I'm starting to feel a lot less lost.
That's great to hear.
But we've got more strategies to cover, right? I'm
Yeah.
excited to see what else we can learn.
Oh, we've got plenty more. Stick with us. Another thing that Cheap ABA blog stressed was this idea of becoming our own experts.
Oh, yeah. They talked about that.
It's about taking charge,
Yeah.
like really learning about our meds, what they could do, what those side effects might be, how they could interact with other stuff.
I love that idea, but honestly, it can feel kind of overwhelming. Where do you even start with all that research?
Well, the internet's a good place to start.
Right.
Tons of information out there. But gotta be careful too. Make sure you're looking at trustworthy sources. Things like medical journals, government websites, those big advocacy organizations, those are usually good bets.
That makes sense. What about asking our doctors?
Oh, for sure. Your doctor's a great resource.
Mhm.
Sometimes they can use all that medical jargon and it's like, huh. But most of them are really happy to explain things in plain English,
Yeah.
so you actually understand what's going on.
It's true. Sometimes I feel like I should have a medical dictionary handy during those appointments.
I know, right?
Ah,
But hey, the more you learn about your meds on your own, the better questions you can ask your doctor, and the more you'll both be on the same page.
totally. It all goes back to that feeling empowered, right? Like I'm not just following orders, I'm part of the decision-making process.
100%.
Yeah.
It's a collaboration, a true partnership.
Okay, so we've got the medication journal, we're talking to our doctors. What was that last strategy from the blog?
This one's super important, and it involves your support system, friends, family, caregivers, whoever's there for you. The blog really emphasized talking to them.
Oh, yeah. It's like having your own personal cheer squad.
It's more than that, though. They can offer that emotional support for sure, and practical help too. But sometimes they can also pick up on things that we might miss about ourselves.
Like what?
Well, think about it. If a medication is messing with your mood or your energy levels or how you're thinking, sometimes it's hard to see those changes in ourselves.
Yeah, that's true. I might not even realize it.
Right. But someone who knows you well, they might notice those little things. They're like those extra eyes and ears looking out for you.
And then they can help us connect the dots, maybe even help us talk to the doctor if we're struggling.
Exactly. The more open we are with our support system, the better they can understand what's going on, and the more they can help us advocate for ourselves.
I'm thinking about that medication journal again. It seems like sharing that with our support system could be really helpful.
For sure.
Hmm.
They might see patterns we don't or just offer a different perspective. It's all about communication and working together.
Okay, so to recap, we've got the medication journal, open communication with our doctors and our support systems, and that whole idea of becoming our own experts. It sounds like a solid plan, but I'm curious, how does all this actually play out in real life? Can you give us an example?
Of course.
Yeah.
Let's imagine you're trying out a new antidepressant
Yeah.
and you start noticing something strange. Every afternoon after you take it, you feel more anxious. So you whip out your handy-dandy medication journal
Love it.
and you write down that anxiety spike, what time you took your meds, maybe what you ate around that time, what else you were doing, gathering all the clues.
Like a real life mystery.
It is. So you keep tracking this pattern and you realize, this seems to happen most often on days when I have coffee with my meds.
Interesting, right. Now you've got some real evidence. So next time you see your doctor, you bring your journal.
And boom, you've got data to back up what you're feeling. It's not just, oh, I think this is happening. Right. You can show your doctor those journal entries, point out that coffee connection.
And that gives them more info to work with. They might suggest changing the timing of your dose, switching to a different antidepressant, or maybe give you some tips for managing that anxiety.
Exactly. See, you've used your detective skills, you've gathered the evidence, and now you and your doctor can work together to find a better solution.
I love how that breaks it down. It feels so much less intimidating now. Like, it's not about having all the answers right away. It's about taking those little steps, being observant, and talking to the people who can help.
Absolutely. And don't forget, everyone's different. What works for your friend might not work for you.
Wow.
It's all about finding what works best for you. And that takes a little trial and error, open communication.
Yeah, it's a journey.
Exactly. It's a journey, not a race.
This is fantastic. I feel like we've really gotten a handle on this whole medication interaction thing, especially how it can affect us, as autistic women.
We've made some great progress, that's for sure. And we've got some really useful tools now to help us navigate all of this.
But before we wrap up, I want to circle back to that idea of becoming our own experts. It's such an important concept, but it can also feel a bit daunting. I mean, there's just so much information out there. Where do we even begin?
It's true. It can be a lot, but you don't have to become a doctor overnight, right? Just start with the basics. Learn about the meds you're actually taking. What are they supposed to do? What are those potential side effects?
Yeah.
And get comfortable with the lingo.
So like if my doctor says, oh, this is an SSRI, I'll actually know what they're talking about and can ask better questions.
Exactly. And as you learn more, you can start digging into those trickier topics, like how different meds can interact, what a personalized treatment plan might look like, maybe even alternative therapies. It's a process.
I like that. It's a journey, not a destination.
Exactly. It takes the pressure off. You don't have to know everything all at once. Just keep learning, keep asking questions.
And remember, there's help out there. There are those advocacy groups, online communities. Even your local library probably has resources.
Don't be afraid to reach out, connect with others. There's a whole world of support waiting for you.
This has been amazing. I came into this feeling a bit overwhelmed by the whole topic, but now I feel like I have some tools to actually deal with it.
That's what we were hoping for. It's
Yeah.
all about going from what's happening to me to, okay, I've got this.
Taking control.
Yes.
So, to all our awesome listeners out there, thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We hope you found it useful, maybe even empowering.
We really hope you feel a little less alone in all of this.
Because you're not. There's a whole community of us, and we're all figuring this out together.
And hey, even small steps can make a big difference. Start that medication journal, make an appointment with your doctor, do a quick Google search about one of your meds, whatever feels doable.
It's all about progress, not perfection.
Right. Absolutely. And remember, there's support out there, so don't be afraid to ask for help.
We're all in this together, and by sharing our knowledge and experiences, we can make healthcare a lot more understandable and a lot more supportive for all autistic women.
That's the goal. Take care of yourselves, everyone, and keep those brains buzzing.
And keep diving deep.